first, people began to be interested in things like how did people build houses, what kind of costumes. This was back still when people thought of peasants as the ideal folklore subject. So it was, yeah, what songs do they sing? What are the recipes they make? How do they decorate their houses? Questions like that. What I basically tell my students is if the artist went to art school, it's not folk art. Because they learned the proper way to do things, right? Which means that you learn not to ask certain questions, not to think in certain ways. Which, by the way, does not mean I'm saying education's a bad idea. Um, but a person who, teaches themselves to paint or learns from a parent and, just kind of does it for fun, unofficial. An official recipe would be, well, two examples of official recipes. One would be something that was written in, like The Joy of Cooking or something like that. And the other would be something made at a very fancy restaurant. Whereas most people, when they actually cook, they never create the same thing twice because they don't remember exactly what they put in it, and a pinch means something different to everybody, and yeah, so that's unofficial. I think before mass marketing, popular culture was much more localized. Um, so I think there were certain village holidays. Um, It was also more frequently associated with things like the church or occupational groups or families. Yeah. Um, as for what it included before mass marketing, I would say um, traditional festivals like how people celebrate Christmas used to be different from one place to another. I mean, it still is a little bit, but not like it was. Um, so um, let's see what else. Yeah, sort of oral stories, but oral stories that are really important in a specific area. So ones that are not told just by one person, or if they are told just by one person, that person is repeatedly asked to hear it again. So a story told once isn't popular culture, but a story told, a couple times a year. Yeah, I think it goes back to the focus on everyday life. So things like where do you put a desk in a room is not mass marketed, but it is generally agreed upon, right? So in the case of this room, the desk is in kind of an alcove over there. It's not in front of the window, right? Because if it was in front of the window, then the window would be obscured, and nobody wants to do that. So sort of ideas about like home decorating, about recipes, about celebrating holidays, things like that. The stuff that people don't realize is culturally variable, but in fact is. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, yeah. The culture industry argument is basically in capitalism, if something is mass marketed, the purpose is to make money. And therefore, it has to be directed at the largest possible audience, which means it can't be very quirky and it can't be it can't be overly smart, right? So then art moves from, according to this argument, art moves from something that was an elite form of expression to a merely for sale thing where aesthetics don't matter, where in fact, if it's less critical of culture, if it's less complicated, that's a plus because it'll sell to more people. People are not just dupes who passively sit and absorb popular culture uncritically. And if that's the case, then there's a lot of room for reinterpreting, for recreating something in a parody kind of form, where you're actually kind of making fun of parts of it and therefore suggesting that it's somehow missing something. I mean, yeah, it just takes away all of the agency from the audience. But it also takes away all of the agency from the creators. I mean, yeah, there are people who write television or books or movies primarily to make money, and that's their primary concern. But there are other people who make them because they have something to say, and otherwise we wouldn't have an independent film industry. So, those people get left out of the Frankfurt School argument as well. And we know that there's an awful lot of people who are trying, to write the great American novel in their free time.